Hi, everybody. Okay, so address or suppress part 2, management. The lack of management is one of the things, is an area that I think many people struggle with. Nobody talks to them about management, like managing behaviors, managing the dog's ability to rehearse a given behavior. In general, when I work with people, their response is always, I need to train them not to do this. They're always focusing on the training part, the learning part, which I get because I'm a trainer. And oftentimes some undesirable behaviors can be addressed with better management. For instance, my dog barks at the window constantly. When people walk by, they charge the window, they bark, whatever. And I will say, can you just not allow the dog access to the window? Can you block off the living room? Can you crate the dog when you're not there? And often I'm met with this look of like, well, I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I want them to be a dog. Well, then don't complain when they do doggy things like bark at the window. Here's why management is important. We talked about building muscle memory in the last clip, right? In video 1 of address or suppress. We talked about building muscle memory. What your dog practices, they get better at. So when we allow the dog to do high arousal behaviors over and over and over again, and then they perform a high arousal behavior in a context that you don't like, suddenly we are unhappy with the dog. And I look at that like lack of self-control as a golden thread through many, many, many behaviors. So sometimes it's not just a lack of training. Sometimes, it is not just a lack of building to an advanced level. It's just a lack of training in general. And the behavior is rehearsed ad nauseum across the board in lots of areas of the dog's life. Management stops them from rehearsing those behaviors. They don't learn anything with a management tool, but they are also not learning anything bad. They're not rehearsing undesirable behaviors and locking it into their muscle memory. So when I look at management, there's a variety of management tools. A crate can stop a dog from doing a lot of naughty things. Gates, I have gates in my house, and my dogs are still, Annie's going to be a year here soon, but I use gates to limit their access of where they can go, where they can't go. I've used tethers where I hook a leash to the foot of the couch, and you're tethered here, and while I watch TV, you can chew on a Kong instead of sneaking off to go potty, or going to the window and barking and going outside and barking in the yard. Like, I limit your ability to reverse those behaviors by using a management tool. The downside to management is that I can't manage other people. So when it comes to when there's two components, i.e. like my dog barks when there is another dog walking down the street. I don't have a management tool for that other than don't ever encounter other dogs on a walk. Well, Jennifer, that's impossible. Well, it's not actually. Here's a little secret. If you have a dog who barks at other dogs and you want to get out and take him for a nice walk, go to the cemetery. Seriously, go to the cemetery. You might encounter one dog. It's unlikely. It's quiet. There's no traffic. You don't have to run into 1,000 people wanting to talk to you. The cemetery is like one of my favorite places to take my dogs for a walk. So, that would be a management tool, honestly. Just eliminating the ability for my dog to not see other dogs on walks. That's what I mean when I talk about management. They're not rehearsing that behavior. My dog goes banana crazy when they see another dog on a walk. A management tool would be, I'm not going to take my dog for a walk. The time I would spend taking them for a walk, we normally go for a walk for 20 minutes. I'm going to take that 20 minutes and do other enrichment activities with my dog at home so that they are not rehearsing this high arousal behavior, barking and lunging and acting like a fool when we're out on leash, while I train from novice to intermediate to advanced, while I train alternate behaviors that I do want you to do when you see those other dogs. So management, again, prevents the rehearsal of the undesirable behavior. It's not always a tool. It's not a crate or a gate or a tether. It's not always a tool. Sometimes we can eliminate that bad behavior by not putting them in the situation, which kind of falls under a management umbrella. Can we manage the behavior? When it comes to high arousal behaviors, for instance, my dog jumps on people. When visitors come over, my dog jumps on people. And it's embarrassing and it's dangerous and I don't like it. Okay, so as I approach this management, they don't have access to the people. They might be on leash. They might be in another room. They might be in their crate. They don't have access to the jumping behavior. Lack of training. I have not taught them specifically what I do want them to do in a high arousal situation. Meaning, I would like you to sit. I would like you to walk, touch their hand, walk away. I would like you to go get a toy. There is, a ton of different behaviors that the dog could do instead of jumping on the person. And so people are like, okay, I get that and I get that. Done. However, under that umbrella of management, you also need to step back and look at where else is my dog performing that behavior that I find undesirable, that's feeding their muscle memory, high arousal jumping behavior. Oh, well, I go to the dog park 3 times a week for 45 minutes, and so the dog just runs around and jumps on all these other dogs. Like, they play really rough. It's high intensity rough play. My dog goes to the doggy daycare and they have high intensity rough play. My dog plays with their housemate for high intensity rough play. Suddenly you see that golden thread of that high arousal behavior is being fed over and over and over again. So maybe not take them to the dog park, maybe not stay for 45 minutes, maybe not go to doggy daycare 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 3 days a week, maybe go every other week. Maybe I interrupt the rough play, high intensity rough play with the housemates. They're playing rough, call them to me, ask them to sit so that they learn to manage their arousals, and then release them to go play. You mean I have to monitor my dogs when they play? But that's why I have 2 dogs, so that they can go out and play and like burn off their energy together. Okay, but then don't turn around and get mad at the dog for doing doggy behaviors. If you don't want to teach them what you want, don't be mad when they display what you don't want. Does that make sense? I mean, so that's where you need to look at and start to look for that golden thread. It's not just a lack of training. It is a lack of management, in that you are allowing the dog to perform this behavior over and over and over and over and over again to build stronger muscle memory. Maybe not in this context, because I don't have visitors that come over to my house all the time. But in all these other contexts, when I play with my neighbors, when I'm barking at the squirrels, when you come home from work, all these highly aroused situations, the dog is jumping. Oh, I love to play like keep away, and I keep the toy away from them and they jump to get the toy, right? And suddenly when I explain this to people and they start looking at where does jumping behavior happen, not just in this context, but across the board in all the contexts, in all the areas of my dog's life, suddenly they go, oh, well, they jump here, they jump here, they jump here, they perform high arousal behaviors here, here, here. So you mean they can't do any of that? I mean, how hard do you want to train them to do something else? Can you learn to control that arousal, right? That's one of the key pillars of my behavior program, is that you teach the dog how to turn on and turn off, right? Jazz up and settle down, and self-modulation, self-regulation. So it's not that they can't do them, but that you also have to teach them how to turn it off and how to regulate themselves. Because if you're not teaching those items and you're not managing their ability to perform these high arousal behaviors, then guess what? You are going to have a problem. So that's the second thing you need to look at when we're looking at a behavior problem, and we're looking at whether we want to address it or suppress it. Like, if you just want to suppress it, just yell at them, and be angry at them, and maybe they'll stop doing the behavior, and you can kind of see how far you get. That's kind of what a lot of people do. They try to suppress the behavior, and then again, it pops up somewhere else. So my suggestion is to address the root cause. So part of that is looking, sometimes it's just a doggy need. Like, that's the way dogs are. They're high arousal players. My dog is a live wire. They really like to play this way. Some of it can be that, but some of it can be, I'm not meeting the dog's needs. So that's what we're going to talk about next week, is behaviors that stem from boredom, and how you can address that boredom to address the naughty behaviors that you don't like. Because again, we're trying to get to the root cause. Address it, don't suppress it. So I will see you next week, and until then, may you always have a dog to love.